My name is Harper. I'm 28, living in a small apartment in Seattle, with a view of the rainy city skyline that matches my mood most days. I wasn't always like this, quiet, guarded, scared to let anyone too close. But life has a way of breaking you down, piece by piece, until you're left holding shards of who you used to be. I'm trying to put those pieces back together, but it's hard. Really hard. And the truth is, I'm afraid to love again. 3 years ago, I was a different person. I was bright, hopeful, the kind of girl who laughed too loud and trusted too easily. I worked as a barista at a cozy coffee shop downtown, where I'd chat with customers and doodle hearts on their to-go cups. That's where I met Ethan. He came in every morning, ordered a black coffee, and smiled at me like I was the only person in the room. His brown eyes were warm, like a sunny day after weeks of rain. He'd sit by the window reading a book, and I'd sneak glances at him while wiping down counters. One day, he left a note on his napkin. "Harper, your smile makes my mornings better. Want to grab dinner sometime?" My heart did a little flip. I said yes, and that was the start of everything. Ethan was charming, funny, and kind, or so I thought. We fell in love fast, too fast. Within months, we were inseparable. He'd hold my hand as we walked through Pike Place Market, stealing bites of my donut, promising me forever. I believed him. I gave him my whole heart. But Ethan had secrets. I didn't see them at first. He'd disappear for hours, saying he was busy with work. His phone was always locked, and he'd get jumpy if I got too close to it. I ignored the red flags because I loved him. I thought love meant trusting someone completely, even when your gut screamed something was wrong. One night, I found out the truth. I borrowed his phone to order pizza, and a text popped up from someone named Lily. "Miss you, babe. When are you coming over?" My stomach dropped. I scrolled through his messages, my hands shaking. There were dozens of texts, not just from Lily, but from others. He'd been cheating on me for months. When I confronted him, he didn't even deny it. He just shrugged like I was nothing. "You're too clingy, Harper," he said. I needed space. Those words cut deeper than any knife. I kicked him out, but the damage was done. My heart was shattered. For weeks, I couldn't get out of bed. I called in sick to work, ignored my friends, and cried until my eyes were swollen. I kept asking myself, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? I replayed every moment of our relationship, searching for clues I'd missed. The worst part? I still loved him even after everything. I hated myself for it. Slowly, I started rebuilding my life. I got a new job as a receptionist at a vet clinic, surrounded by wagging tails and purring cats. It helped a little. But every time I saw a couple holding hands or heard a love song on the radio, my chest tightened. I built walls around my heart, tall and thick, to keep anyone from hurting me again. I told myself I was fine alone. I didn't need love. But deep down, I was terrified. What if I opened my heart again and it broke all over again? One rainy afternoon, I was at the vet clinic organizing files, when a guy walked in with a golden retriever. His name was Noah. He had messy brown hair, a kind smile, and a voice that was soft but sure. His dog Max had a limp, and Noah looked worried. I booked them in, and while he waited, we started talking. He was easy to talk to, like we'd known each other forever. He told me he was a high school teacher, loved hiking, and had just moved to Seattle from Portland. I found myself smiling, really smiling, for the first time in months. Noah started coming to the clinic more often, even when Max didn't need a checkup. He'd bring me coffee, make me laugh with stories about his students, and ask about my day. I liked him, but every time I felt myself getting closer, panic set in. What if he was like Ethan? What if I got hurt again? I kept him at arm's length, friendly but distant. But Noah didn't push. He was patient. Like he could see the walls I'd built and was okay waiting for me to let them down. One day, he asked me to go hiking with him. My first instinct was to say no, but something in his eyes, something kind and honest, made me say yes. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I was setting myself up to get hurt again. But as I lay in bed that night, I couldn't stop thinking about him. For the first time in a long time, I felt a spark of hope, and that scared me more than anything. The morning of the hike, I almost canceled. I stood in front of my mirror, staring at my reflection, my stomach twisting. What am I doing? I thought. I hadn't let anyone new into my life since Ethan. The idea of spending a whole day with Noah felt like standing on the edge of a cliff. But I'd promised, and a small part of me, the part that still remembered, what it felt like to be happy, wanted to go. I met Noah at the trailhead, a winding path up Rattlesnake Ledge. He was waiting with Max, who wagged his tail so hard I thought he'd knock himself over. Noah handed me a water bottle and grinned. "Ready to conquer the mountain?" he asked. I laughed, nervous but excited. The trail was steep, but the view was worth it. Green trees stretching forever, a lake sparkling below. Noah talked the whole way, telling me about his childhood in Oregon, how he used to climb trees and pretend he was an explorer. I told him about growing up in Seattle, how my mom taught me to bake cookies, and how I used to dream of being a writer. At the top, we sat on a rock, catching our breath. The wind was cool and the sky was clear. Noah looked at me, his eyes soft. "You're different, Harper," he said. "You're quiet, but there's so much going on in there." He tapped his head, smiling. I froze. No one had seen me like that since. Ethan, I wanted to tell him everything about the hurt, the fear, the walls I'd built. But I didn't. I just smiled and changed the subject. Over the next few weeks, Noah became a part of my life. We'd text every day, grab coffee, or walk Max together. He never pushed me to open up, but he was always there, steady and kind. I started to feel things I hadn't felt in years. Butterflies, hope, the kind of warmth that makes you believe in possibilities. But every time I got too close, Ethan's voice echoed in my head. "You're too clingy, Harper." I'd pull back, make excuses, keep Noah at a distance. One night we went to a diner, just the two of us. The neon lights glowed outside, and the smell of fries filled the air. Noah reached across the table, his hand brushing mine. "Harper," he said, his voice serious, "I like you. A lot. I don't know what you've been through, but I'm not going anywhere. You can trust me." My heart raced. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to let go of the fear. But all I could see was Ethan's face, his shrug, his betrayal. I pulled my hand away. "I'm not ready," I whispered. Noah nodded, his eyes sad but understanding. "I'll wait," he said. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Noah, about how he made me feel safe, about how I was pushing him away because of my own fears. I realized I was punishing him for Ethan's mistakes. But letting go of that fear felt impossible. It was like a weight I'd carried so long I didn't know how to put it down. The next day, I got a call from my best friend, Ava. She'd been there through everything. Ethan's betrayal, my months of hiding in my apartment, all of it. I told her about Noah, about how I was scared to let him in. Ava listened, then said, "Harper, you can't let Ethan control your life forever. Noah's not him. You deserve to be happy." Her words hit me hard. I knew she was right, but knowing and doing are two different things. I decided to take a small step. I invited Noah to my apartment for dinner. Just dinner, I told myself. Nothing big. I spent all day cooking. Spaghetti, garlic bread, a salad. I was a nervous wreck, dropping spoons, burning the bread. When Noah arrived, he brought a bottle of wine and a smile that made my heart skip. We ate, laughed, and talked until midnight. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to run. I didn't tell him everything, but I told him enough. I told him I'd been hurt before, that I was scared. He listened, his eyes never leaving mine. "I'm not perfect, Harper," he said. But I'm not that guy, I promise. As he left, he hugged me and I let myself sink into it. It felt good. It felt right. But as soon as he was gone, the fear crept back. What if I was wrong? What if I was setting myself up for another heartbreak? I sat on my couch, staring at the empty wine glasses, and made a decision. I couldn't keep living in fear. I had to try. For Noah. For me. Just when I thought I was ready to move forward, the past came knocking. It was a Tuesday, and I was at the vet clinic, laughing with Noah over a text he'd sent about Max stealing his sandwich. My phone buzzed again, and I glanced at it, expecting another silly message. But it wasn't Noah, it was Ethan. Hey, Harper. It's been a while. Can we talk? My heart stopped. I hadn't heard from him in 3 years. Not a call, not a text, nothing. And now, out of nowhere, he was back. I didn't respond, but my hands shook as I put my phone down. Why now? What did he want? I spent the rest of the day distracted, my mind racing. That night, I told Ava about the text. Ignore him, she said. He doesn't deserve your time. But ignoring Ethan wasn't easy. He was a ghost that haunted me, and his message brought all the pain rushing back. The next day, another text. I know I messed up. I just want to see you, please. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to tell him to leave me alone. But another part, the part that still remembered the good times, the laughter, the promises, wanted answers. Why had he hurt me? Did he ever really love me? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop. Seeing Ethan again was like stepping into a memory I'd tried to forget. He looked the same brown eyes, same easy smile. But he was different too, tired, older. He apologized, said he'd made mistakes, that he'd been immature. He said he missed me, that he wanted to try again. I sat there listening, my heart torn. Part of me wanted to believe him. Part of me wanted to scream. I didn't give him an answer. I told him I needed time. When I got home, I cried. Not because I wanted Ethan back, but because his words stirred up all the hurt I'd buried. I felt like I was back at square one, doubting myself, doubting love. I didn't tell Noah about Ethan. I didn't know how. I was afraid he'd think I was still hung up on my ex, or worse, that he'd walk away. For the next week, Ethan kept texting. Not pushy, just persistent. I've changed, Harper. I swear. I didn't know what to believe. I started pulling away from Noah, canceling plans, keeping my texts short. He noticed. One day, he showed up at the clinic with Max and a worried look. What's going on, Harper? He asked. Did I do something wrong? I wanted to tell him about Ethan, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I said I was just stressed. He didn't push, but I could see the hurt in his eyes. That night, I had a dream. I was standing in a field, holding 2 balloons, one red, one blue. The red one was Ethan, pulling me back to the past. The blue one was Noah, floating toward the future. I could only hold one. When I woke up, I knew what I had to do. I texted Ethan, I forgive you, but we're done. Don't contact me again. It felt like letting go of a weight I'd carried too long. I called Noah and asked him to meet me at the park. I told him everything about Ethan, the texts, the meeting, my fear of getting hurt again. I told him I was scared to love, but I wanted to try with him. He listened, his hand holding mine, his eyes steady. I'm not him, Harper, he said, and I'm not going anywhere. For the first time, I believed him. Letting go of Ethan was like closing a book I'd kept open too long. But opening my heart to Noah was harder. It meant trusting again, risking everything. I wasn't sure I was ready, but I knew I didn't want to lose him. So I took a leap of faith. Noah and I started spending more time together. We'd go on long walks, watch movies, cook dinner at his place. He taught me how to play chess, and I taught him how to bake my mom's chocolate chip cookies. Every moment with him felt like a gift. But the fear was always there. whispering in the back of my mind, what if he changed? What if he left? One day, Noah invited me to meet his family. They lived in a small town outside Seattle, in a house with a big backyard and a swing set. His mom hugged me like I was already part of the family, and his little sister, Mia, asked me to braid her hair. It was overwhelming, but it felt good, like I belonged. Noah's dad pulled me aside and said, "My son's crazy about you." I can see it in his eyes. I smiled, but inside I was terrified. What if I let them down? That night, Noah and I sat on the porch swing, looking at the stars. He took my hand and said, "Harper, I love you." My heart stopped. I hadn't heard those words in so long, and they scared me. But they also felt right. I looked into his eyes and saw nothing but honesty. "I love you too," I whispered. It was the truth, and saying it out loud was like breaking a chain. But love doesn't erase fear. A few weeks later, Noah got a job offer in Chicago. It was a big deal, a chance to teach at a prestigious school. He was excited, but I could tell he was worried about what it meant for us. "I don't want to lose you," he said, "but I don't want to hold you back either." I didn't know what to say. The thought of him leaving felt like losing Ethan all over again. But this time it wasn't betrayal. It was life pulling us in different directions. I spent days thinking about it. I could stay in Seattle, safe in my little world, or I could take another leap. I talked to Ava, who said, "Harper, you can't let fear make your choices. If you love him, fight for it." She was right. I couldn't keep running from love because of what might happen. I had to choose hope. I told Noah I'd go with him to Chicago. His face lit up and he hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. We started planning, finding an apartment, looking for jobs for me, imagining a new life together. It was scary, but it was also exciting. For the first time, I felt like I was moving forward, not just surviving. Moving to Chicago was the biggest change I'd ever made. We found a tiny apartment with creaky floors and a view of a brick wall, but it was ours. I got a job at a local animal shelter and Noah started teaching. Life wasn't perfect. There were arguments, late bills, and days when I missed Seattle so much it hurt. But every night, Noah would hold me, and I'd remember why I took the risk. One day, I found an old journal in a box of my things. It was from the year after Ethan left, filled with pages of pain and self-doubt. Reading it, I realized how far I'd come. I wasn't that broken girl anymore. I was stronger, braver, and capable of love again. I tore out the pages and burned them in a candle flame, letting go of the last pieces of my past. Noah and I grew closer every day. He wasn't perfect. He left dishes in the sink and forgot to call when he was running late, but he was real. He showed up for me every single day. When I had a bad day, he'd listen. When I was scared, he'd hold my hand. And when I doubted myself, he'd remind me who I was. I started writing again, something I hadn't done since Ethan. I wrote about my journey, my fears, my healing. It felt like coming home to myself. One evening, Noah took me to a park by Lake Michigan. The sun was setting, painting the sky pink and orange. He got down on one knee and pulled out a ring. "Harper," he said, his voice shaking, "I want to spend every day making you smile. Will you marry me?" Tears streamed down my face. I said yes, not because it was perfect, but because it was real. I wasn't afraid anymore. Looking back, I realized love isn't about never getting hurt. It's about being brave enough to try again, even when you're scared. It's about choosing someone who sees you, who stays, who fights for you. Noah taught me that. And I'm still learning every day. If you're watching this and you're afraid to love again, I get it. I've been there. The pain of heartbreak can make you want to close your heart forever. But here's the truth. You are stronger than your pain. You deserve love. Not the kind that hurts, but the kind that heals. Take it slow, listen to your heart, and don't let fear steal your chance at happiness. You don't have to be perfect to love again. You just have to be brave. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more stories about healing, hope, and finding your way. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Have you ever been afraid to love again? How did you find the courage to try? Let's talk. Together we can heal and grow.